Welcome to episode 5 of the Cold Call podcast. I have my guest, Sean Ramey, here. Thanks for coming on.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So before we get started, why don't you tell me what you've been doing this summer, if you're allowed to go into whatever detail you can.
So this summer I have been relaxing, chillaxing, and work-wise I've been I'm completely blanking. I've been a law intern at the Harpeth Conservancy in Brentwood, so that's a non-profit conservation group. I just looked directly into the camera, so I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you're fine. It's there for...
And then with all this free time, I've been trying to visit one state park in Tennessee a week.
That's really cool.
And then I've been trying one new restaurant a week.
Oh, so do you have a favorite restaurant you've tried so far?
Nope, I don't really remember any of the ones I've tried, but I haven't not liked one.
Okay, so there's something that's terrible, but there's not one that you're like, this is the one.
The problem is, so I take screenshots on my phone.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, this looks good, I'll go try that.
Yeah.
And then once I try it, I delete the screenshot and I don't ever remember the name. So whenever people are like, oh, what would you recommend? I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember at all, but there's this really good Vietnamese place in South Central Nashville. Couldn't tell you what its name is.
I feel like you're more of a local than me now because you go to all those places. Like, I stick to the pub we've gone to.
The Irish pub. And I've been doing a lot of, I'm in a sand volleyball league. And I've been doing a lot of trivia nights at various bars.
Yeah. Well, we won last time. Have you won another?
Yeah, we won. Yeah, and I had to leave because I was part of I had a sand volleyball game. I had to leave on the last question.
Josiah clutched up on that last question.
He did clunch up.
Clunch up. He did clunch. I guess that's the new phrase. It's time to get clunched. Sweet. So moving on to some good questions. What made you want to go to law school? I know your path's a little similar to mine. We're the same age. So what made you want to transition to...
My path to law school is uninteresting, weird. Like, people are going to be like, wow, that's your reasoning. So growing up, I had a household of people working in the medical field, and I always figured I would go into the medical field. And I always figured doctor was the best way I could help people. I was... in high school, I found out I loved biology and I loved human anatomy, and so I was like, yeah, I'll try that. But I loved ecology and I loved the outdoors, so I was like, for some reason I wanted to look into like conservation, but my main focus is really medicine. And then in my undergrad at Northern Arizona University, greatest college on the planet. You should all go to Flagstaff, Arizona. Shout out. It's the greatest. It's the greatest town in America.
Oh, I'll have to try. I've been to Tucson. I think I've told you. I've never been to Flagstaff.
You gotta go to Flagstaff. It's so freaking awesome. Oh my god, I love Flag. Sorry. Oh golly. So I took a bunch of like medical classes at NAU, and I loved it, and I was good at it. But I took some like ecology classes and really enjoyed it. I actually did. Forest entomology research at NAU in my undergrad. So entomology is the study of insects.
Okay.
And I very, very much liked it. I did a lot of like genetic works with like genetically modified fungal species.
That's awesome.
But I always thought like conservation and stuff, that's like, if I ever had to redo it, I would go into wildlife conservation. And I always thought, based on like just reading articles and staying up to date with what's happening regarding conservation, I always thought through the law was the best way to do it, because you can physically clean up a river or plant trees, but that's momentary. If you actually want to make a real difference, not a real difference, but
a larger
lasting difference, is legislation. And I always thought environmental law would be the way I would go. I also very enjoyed learning about litigation. I always found it extremely fascinating. Not extremely. I always found it to be fascinating. But I just never went that direction because I was so focused on medical school.
Yeah.
And then I took the MCAT, and I did very disappointingly. I I got like slightly below average first time, and I was like, I'm not about to pay like $1,000 to like $10,000 to apply for medical schools and get rejected and go 0 for 15.
Yeah.
Because I have crippling self-confidence issues. Sorry. So I was like, well, I'll get a master's because I've always kind of wanted a master's degree.
Yeah.
And I was pretty infatuated with Doctors Without Borders.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like my motivation. Like I always wanted to do it. Like especially with medicine, I wanted to focus with doing abroad, stuff like that. I went to Doctors Without Borders meeting groups. I was trying to set up going to Tibet with this group out of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
That's cool.
And I was like, okay, how can I get into Doctors Without Borders? I was like, well, you can go with if you're a lab tech. And I was like, okay, how can I become a lab tech?
Yeah.
And probably with medicine, the thing I enjoyed the most was human pathology and infectious diseases. And I was like, okay, I kind of would like to steer my direction towards that. And so I was like, can I get a microbiology degree and become a lab tech? And that was totally possible. So I was like, okay, that's going to be my in into medical school.
Yeah.
I'll become a lab tech. I'll do Doctors Without Borders for 7-9 months. That'll look incredible.
Yeah.
And I'll take the MCAT and smash it. Yeah. And then I'll hopefully go to medical school and honestly probably become an infectious disease doctor.
Yeah.
And that was the plan. And like, it was all coming together. And so I started looking at programs for microbiology around the U.S. and I found a bunch and I was ready to apply. But I always wanted to live abroad, so I kind of just looked at programs in the U.K., New Zealand, and Canada, and Australia.
Nice.
And I noticed that in the UK it's free to apply to graduate school. So I was like,
nice.
Oh yeah, I'll just, before I apply to a US-based program, I'll just apply to a couple schools in the UK. I should have applied to more. I had 4 I was looking at, but I only applied to 2. And I got into both. And
awesome.
I lost it. That was one of the coolest days of my life. I freaking lost. Sure. I was running around my apartment. Oh man, I went absurd crazy because I was like, holy crap, I could live in London maybe, or Manchester. I ultimately chose London. At the another shout out, University of Westminster in central London. Awesome. Everybody on the planet should go see London. It's one of the greatest cities on the planet. It is. I'd say like Flagstaff and London have a special place in my heart. They're incredible places, and I tell everybody to go. Even if you don't like to travel, you need to check out those places.
That's awesome.
Sorry, this is getting long.
No, I like it.
So, went over to Lundo, got my degree. It was a what they call it, not an advanced program, but like it was only slightly over a year.
Okay.
So it was a really quick master's program. I loved it. However, it was a medical research based program. And doing medical research, I quickly found out that's not for me.
Yeah.
Like working 40 hours in the lab pipetting chemicals, I was like, yeah, dog, nah, dude.
Yeah, that's not it.
This is not it. Yeah. And like, as much as I loved medicine, as much as I loved human anatomy and physiology and learning about it and being surrounded by it, there's a ton of research in it, and research is becoming a bigger part of it. And I was like, man, I started to really question if medicine was where I wanted to be. And I knew like I was heavily influenced by like where I grew up, because I was like, it's really the only thing I was exposed to. Yeah. And also I was obsessed with learning about environmentalism. I was obsessed with it in London. I was reading about it every night. Yeah. And I was getting super angry at the situation things are in. Yeah. And just mad at the world. Yeah. And I was a little grumpy. And so I kind of just like looked in the mirror and I was like, how can I expect this future to happen where it's like eco-friendly? How can I expect this to happen? Yeah. How can I be mad at people for not doing anything when I myself am not dedicating my career or my life to achieving that ecologically neutral or like improved world? And I was like, well, I always thought law was the other direction. I never like hardcore looked into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the MCAT and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Took the MCAT, bombed it.
Yeah.
That absolutely crushed me. That obliterated me.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, like, would it, like, I don't know. So I started looking into the LSAT, and I started looking into environmental law and what the top environmental lawyers were saying about the state of environmental law in the U.S. I actually contacted 2 environmental lawyers working out west.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where my parents and sister lived, and I moved in with my sister.
Yeah.
And the University of New Mexico has a very good environmental law program, and I got a hold of an environmental lawyer, an environmental law professor at the University of New Mexico, and talked to him multiple times.
Yeah.
And I just thought I would rather try the LSAT. I'd rather take a shot at the LSAT and see how I do than take the MCAT a third time. And, you know, it is what it is. That's unfortunately my reasoning. And so I did it, and I did well on the LSAT. Good enough to be like, okay, yeah, I'll apply. Yeah. Like, good enough to apply. And so I did my research and made my list, my 7 schools. And here I am.
That's awesome. Yeah, like, failure is hard. Like, I think I know what you feel with the MCAT, because I took the LSAT twice. So the first time I took it was right out of undergrad before I got my teaching job. Mm-hmm. I think I was a senior at the time in undergrad. So I took it at Belmont, bombed it, still applied at Belmont, got rejected, and then taught for 2 years and then reapplied. So
those it sucks. The rejections are so crappy, because it's like, I know you gotta just like brush it off, but like, it's so demeaning. It's just like, dang, like, I thought about this place. I looked forward to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I obviously looked into it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're rejecting me. Like, you have my resume, you have my cover letter that I put time and effort in it, that I, like, rewrote 50 different times. And it's just like, dang.
But
come on. Like, I'd be great at Oregon or at Colorado Boulder or at Hawaii. Like,
but it makes the acceptance that much better, I feel like. You know, like when you get the acceptance letter... When we got that box, I think I still have the box up there, the box with like...
I totally forgot about that.
I'm using that box to store extra highlighters and pens, so it's...
Nice.
Yeah, but you know, when you open it, you're like, oh, that's awesome.
When I got the news, I was in bed. I was going through a rough patch, so I was in bed kind of like, man, this sucks. Yeah. And I just looked at my phone, because I would wake up every morning and look at my phone, look at my email for any, like, acceptance denials or, like, you're on the waiting list, which was, like, everybody. Yeah. And it was, like, congratulations, like, class of 2024, you've been accepted at Belmont Law. Like, I've never, like, I lost it when I got accepted to the program in London. This was another level. Exactly. Like, I was in bed, like, the phone, like, 2 inches from my face. I grabbed my sheets, ripped them off my bed. I was the only one home. I ran around the home I lived in. I was jumping in the air doing 360s. Like, I freaking lost it. And, like, I had plans to have dinner with my meet my parents for lunch the next day. So I was like, I'll tell them about lunch. I'm so sneaky about it. And I did. And we did a little cheers at the beginning of lunch. So I lived in Albuquerque at the time. Yeah. And it was at this seafood place called Papados. Big wreck. If you go to Albuquerque, you can go to Papados. It's a chain. I get that, but it's still absolutely delicious.
Still good.
And we were like, cheers. And I was like, cheers to being accepted to Belmont Law. And my parents kind of like froze. They're like...
Like, you said what now?
They're like, are you serious? And I was like, you betcha. Yeah. And it was, oh man, awesome. I'm going to always remember that moment. It was so cool. It still gives me goosebumps. And I'm glad I haven't failed out, because that would have been a big bummer.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like at this point we're past the main obstacle, you know, like the curve flattens out.
Maybe.
I mean,
maybe.
There's always a possibility, I guess. I don't want to rule it out, but, you know, we made it this far.
True.
So, I mean, we're supposed to be here, I guess.
Yeah, but halfway through after this next semester.
That's crazy. In 2 years, we'll be studying for the bar at this... We'll be taking the bar. It's like this week, I think.
Oh, God.
The 26th.
Oh, God. Let's not think about We don't.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We got plenty of time that will go by really fast.
Okay, sorry. I got sidetracked so bad.
It's okay. We like sidetracks here. It's all good. So, what made you pick Belmont? Because I know, like, you said you applied to, like, 7 schools, you said? Or you had a list, or...
Yeah, I applied to... Belmont was the only non-environmental school-based I chose. So, I kind of did what... I think it was Kaplan. Kaplan said, like, 7 to 9 or whatever. You've got, like, 2 reachers, 2 mediums, and, like, 2 safeties or whatever.
Yeah, that's smart.
I kind of morphed it around that. So I did... University of Oregon as my number 1.
Yeah.
University of Colorado Boulder as my number 2 because they were both, and where I chose to apply was heavily based on location, like where I wanted to live.
That's important. Yeah.
So those were my number 1 or my number 2 because they are where I wanted to live, Oregon and Colorado, and they were also really, really. Their environmental law programs had a lot of really good accolades, and they were, I don't know, I really fit with, like, the school's mentality and, like, what they were stating there in, like, with diversity and ecology work and all that. I was, got waitlisted on both and, like, rejected by both, like, the week of school starting here in Belmont.
Oh, so you're already, like...
Yeah.
Like, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah. So Oregon, Colorado Boulder, and then University of Hawaii. 1, because it's Hawaii.
That's cool.
And 2, because they had a international environmental law. And I was like, that's perfect. Like, if I had to create a class, that's what I would create. International environmental law.
Yep.
They actually have a summer program, I believe, that I was hoping to, like, look into, but now I doubt that's going to happen. Let's see, University of Denver, they had an okay environmental law program. That was kind of more location-based. It was an overall good law school.
Yeah.
Obviously, Belmont. University of Washington.
Okay.
Which rejected me, like, immediately, like,
well, I guess
right out the gate rejected me.
Well, I guess that's nice because you don't have to wait. You're like, okay,
at least at least they responded
up front.
And then, oh my goodness, Denver, Washington, Oregon. Wow, it's 7. Wow, I'm completely blanking on the last one.
It seems like all of them are out west except for, like, Belmont's like the outlier. Yeah. So, like, how'd you find out about the school?
I looked up so many dang schools in the U.S. and Tennessee was one of my target states, so I looked at all of them. I looked at Vandy, but, like,
it's expensive.
Expensive, but also LSAT scores.
Yeah.
Obviously I was really impressed by their bar pass rate. Like, that really sold me. Belmont was my safety school, I'm sure Belmont or anybody affiliated with Belmont doesn't want to hear that.
It's fun.
And I wanted to look into health law.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of stuff about health law.
Yeah, it's big here.
So those 2 things were huge. And, not to name drop, but Professor Brandon.
He's huge, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, after getting accepted, and I was on a ton of waiting lists, and I was like, man, if I only get accepted to Belmont, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I actually contacted him, and we had a couple exchanges through email, and he, like, convinced me. He's like, yeah, like, we don't have a super acclaimed environmental law program. We're trying to build it up, but, like, if you have the work ethic, you can, like, you have all the tools to make a career out of it.
Yeah.
And he really had a big influence, so I was like, okay. Belmont was honestly probably the cheapest school I applied to, which is brutal.
It's still expensive.
Yeah. It's where I want to live. I wanted to live in, obviously Tennessee was one of my target states. It was Tennessee, Washington, Oregon, and Colorado. Hawaii was just kind of like, I'll try it. What the heck? And then health law and the bar pass rate.
The bar passage rate's huge because you don't want to like go through all the 3 years and then like not pass the bar. And like what you just like they took your money and now you're just like out of luck.
And I looked at the South as a whole. I looked at Georgia. I looked at Kentucky. I looked at Florida. And I thought Tennessee was probably where I'd want to go. And I felt like Belmont was like with the bar pass rate, and I can look at health law, and like just being a licensed attorney with my work ethic, I could get into environmental law.
Yeah.
So that was, I thought about this a ton.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I broke this down to every like little parsec.
You put a lot more thought into it than I did. I only applied to Belmont.
That's wild. That's so wild.
Part of it was because I was like, well, I'm teaching. Like, if I don't get accepted, I'll just keep teaching. You know? Mm-hmm. So it was almost like I just pushed all the chips in. I was like, well, we'll see what happens. Because, you know, at that point, I didn't mind teaching. I liked it. I was... Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to go back to school, but COVID sped that up. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't matter if I get rejected again. Yeah. My mentality is like I'm pretty go with the flow, so it's like if something happens, like it's meant to happen that way.
Yeah, if I didn't get in anywhere, I had 5 options I had chosen. Kind of 4. But if I didn't get in, option 1, stay in Albuquerque and get back into medicine and apply for the MCAT.
Yeah.
Take the MCAT again. Option 2, stay with my job and accept a position where I would go around the entire West and do water delineation and threatened endangered species survey. So I would go to like cool. national parks and state parks and do like pretty much just go there and hike, being paid to hike around the country. Super cool. One, super crappy lifestyle, like no social life, and you don't get paid a ton, but like for someone who loves the outdoor, that was like crazy cool because I got to do a little bit of it. So cool. The next option, I think 3 would be apply for like low-end jobs at a law firm, probably in Oregon. So I wanted to move to Oregon and be like what are they? Paralegal.
Paralegal, yeah.
Yeah, so like try to find a paralegal job in Oregon. Or the final option was pack it up and move to Australia.
Yeah. So I thought the Australia was just like the Hail Mary, just like
that was the Hail Mary. Like
you're just like screw it, let's just go.
I'll admit this, kind of weird. I'm not the biggest fan of the U.S.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I absolutely loved living in London. And I was like, if I'm not gonna go to school here, like why not?
Yeah, might as well.
So I was looking at places to live in London in Australia. I would have looked around Melbourne. Like
that's awesome.
That would look so freaking cool. Like I was like, it was real fantasy. Yeah. Like I was like, this is probably not gonna happen, but I'll keep it there as an option.
Yeah, I'm terrified of Australia. Like I just if I'm bored, I like
all that slander. Like no, like
well, yeah. I mean, like not like slander, but just like the amount of like weird animals.
We got weird stuff here. I was talking to someone from Australia, and they're like, "How do you guys go hiking here?" And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, don't you get mauled by a bear? And I was like, no.
Sometimes.
So, well, I mean, yeah, sometimes. We just, a little hush-hush on that.
Yeah.
But he's like, but you got like bison and you got cougars. And I'm like, yep, you still go hiking with them. And they're like, that's how it is in Australia. Like, you guys have venomous snakes here. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, like, well, yeah, you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So, like.
Yeah. Have you ever hiked in East Tennessee, like Appalachian Mountains?
I haven't gone that far east, so I'm making my way farther east because I have a list on my phone of all the state parks I want to go to, and I'm kind of checking off all the ones that are like closer because it's like an hour, 2 hours away.
We should go sometime. Like my parents live in Knoxville. We have plenty of extra bedrooms, so we could always, happy during a break or something, but we could drive over there, spend the night or whatever.
Absolutely, or like maybe at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Like, which is next month.
Which is, but I mean...
Oh, God.
it's close enough. No, one of my biggest regrets is that I lived, like, the Smoky Mountains were my backyard. It's like a 30-minute drive. Like, I could see them from my house, and, like, I never went. I mean, a few times. But, like, it's a thing, like, when you're there, when you live there, do you want to go to somewhere that you can easily access, It's like... But it is, and I mentioned that just because that's the closest I've been to a bear was in the Smoky Mountains. We went camping once, and there was it was 500 yards away, but still, it's like too close to comfort, So.
Nah, they're super cool. I haven't done a ton of hiking where there are bears. I guess, I mean, there are bears in eastern Tennessee, and I've gone a couple times, not as far as the Appalachians, and then I've gone up to Canada and Alaska a couple times. Colorado, you never seen them. I've rarely seen bears. Alaska's like the only place I've seen bears.
There are a lot of bears in East Tennessee.
Dope, I'm gonna ride one.
And
find one, I'm gonna ride it.
And I think what sucks too is you're gonna hate this, but so like with Sevierville and Gatlinburg growing up and everything, like they're kind of pushed out. So like sometimes they'll come into the city and like there's just a whole mess, because they're like looking for food or whatever. They've been displaced, which is rough. And then they had that a really big forest fire in East Tennessee a few years ago. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was like some teenagers playing with matches.
Yeah, it checks out.
And it like burned. It was not as bad as like the western wildfires, but still, like, it just burned and burned. And
stupid kids.
Exactly.
Stupid kids.
And I don't think those kids ever got anything. They didn't get punished for it. So
that's dumb.
Yeah. But going to our second question.
Oh man.
So you kind of mentioned some of this, so we can just pick one of the things you mentioned.
Sure.
Are there any previous life experiences that you think set you up to succeed in law school? Like any like study habits you picked up somewhere, or something you developed in your undergrad that you kind of hold with you, or?
I mean, I guess just graduate school. Because I mean, I didn't really push anything off in undergrad. Like, my first year, like, that was rough for undergrad. And then, like, sophomore year was, like, academically my toughest year at NAU. And that really, like, kind of formed what kind of, like, a student I would be. Which is going to be the freaking nerd who doesn't party one bit.
Right.
Doesn't really get invited to parties, but doesn't party out of his own choice.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, sophomore year at NAU, really, I mean, I was taking really hard classes. I was taking my human anatomy and physiology class, and the lab are really difficult. And then I paired that with organic chemistry, which is just it's a heck of a class,
yes.
Heck of 2-semester class. And then I was also spending so much time volunteering at the hospital. That really kind of formed like the work ethic that I would use, and that was really effective junior and senior year. And then I kind of brought that mentality to London, and really kind of bumped it up because it was not a homework based program. My master's degree, It wasn't even a test-based program. We only had a couple tests.
Yeah.
It was a paper-based program and a research-based program. So they would be like, hey, this 30-page paper is due in 2 months. It is completely up to you to research for it, to prepare for it, to work on it diligently with appropriate time. And I, with that kind of system, like no little assignments, all huge assignments, huge papers spaced out, I flourished in that. I loved that so much.
That's awesome.
Especially because honestly, like in London, I didn't party at all.
Yeah.
Like I didn't drink at all. I didn't travel at all. Like the small little itty bitty time frame in between my classes finishing up in the spring and research starting in the fall, I traveled I went to 5 different countries in a month, but besides that, I didn't travel at all. I mean, I went all around London. I know London like the back of my freaking hand. Awesome. But yeah, I guess learning how to properly space out my time and figure out what's best for me, and then
that's really important.
So London, I guess that second year of NAU, but yeah, that's really all I can say about that.
Like law school's very hands off. It's like, it's similar. It's like, here's what you're doing. Like, they're not here to hold your hand. In high school, they tell you, like, oh, your professors aren't going to, hold your hand. But, even, then, professors kind of, it depends on your professor in undergrad. But some of them, kind of lead you on more. But here, it's just you have an LIC paper due in 3 months.
Yeah, here's a little bit different. It is. Because, I'll be I want to start on that paper, but I just can't. I gotta do these readings. So, I think law school is a little bit different. Just because,
it's hard to juggle everything.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That first semester, dude, I'll just say, not okay.
No, yeah, for sure. I'm so glad. I'm not taking my writing class this semester.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to take it in the spring. Yeah. So I was I need a semester of, a buffer room. Cause,
I'm going to take it fall of senior year. Yeah. Third year. That's why I'm taking mine.
I think my plan, and this might change, but because I have the field placement credit, I'm using that in the spring, so that will kind of free up some time. But yeah, so is there anything that you now know after completing a full year that you wish you knew before heading into school? I know you're saying first semester was rough. Did you learn anything that you wish you had known? Are you're like happy with how things turned out?
No,
Okay.
no way. I would say like if I had to go back, what advice would I give myself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man, I really wouldn't. I would say, if I had to go back, I would say, you're not working hard enough.
Mm.
You're a piece of crap. Stop making friends. You need to lock yourself in a closet and study.
And just go.
Yeah. No, completely kidding.
Yeah.
That was a really dark joke.
I like it. I appreciate it. I like dark humor. It's all good.
I would just say it's gonna be okay. Like, you're gonna make it.
Yeah.
I had, what's it called when you feel like you don't fit in, but like imposter syndrome. Yeah. I had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Dear Lordy, so bad. I would look around like every day and be like, I shouldn't be here. Like, these people know what they're talking about. I have no freaking idea.
Yeah.
Like, I have no background in law. And I was just like, thinking about law school, I was like, my work ethic has always paid off. I'm extremely lucky, but my work ethic has always paid off. And has always paid off really, really well. Like, I've always, almost always gotten the grade that I've wanted.
Yeah.
Like, if I worked freaking hard enough, I would get that grade.
Yeah.
And for once, I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm putting in, 70 to 90 hours of studying a week. Like, that's all I'm doing is freaking studying. And I was like, I don't know if this is enough. Like, I don't know if I can. And like imposter syndrome was crippling that first semester. Not so much that second semester. Second semester was like a world's difference for me. I took it way better, even though I was honestly busier. But I would just say, like, your work ethic will get you where you want to go. Like, it's okay to question it, but at the end of the day, it's going to work out. That's the only thing I would say.
The hard thing for me, I don't know how your undergrad was or your master's program, but like, this whole curve thing is all new to me.
I've had curves. None of them worked like this. This was weird. This was a freaky curve.
I mean, it might be because I was a music major. It was like,
Sure.
Everyone got A's if you like practiced, if you like showed up to your lesson. I mean, we had classes with like tests, like music theory, but like there wasn't a limit on how many A's they could give out. Like, he'd be like, oh, the whole class gets A's, the whole class gets B's, whatever. So it's just weird that the comparing aspect adds to the imposter syndrome. Like, to me,
absolutely, yeah. Oh my God.
Like it hit me. That hit me when like it was our first day of orientation and people were flooding in. I was like, what have I done? Like,
yeah.
Because like they gave us a lot of information, and I know the 1Ls coming in are gonna feel the same way. So that's kind of some solace for me.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't wanna say too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan of the whole ranking system and the whole there's a set amount of A's you can give out, and there's a set amount of like C's you can give out. I don't like that, but that's just my
it feels
opinion.
very archaic to use that word.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Why? Like, I mean, and some people love it. Some people love the competition. I don't. Like, I just want to be a lawyer and make a difference. And
I love competition, being a former band director and all this stuff.
I'll do it with sports. Like, I'm super competitive with sports, not with like surviving in my career.
Exactly right. So
and the oral argument, I was a little competitive with that, but that's all.
I mean, you did pretty well. You did really good. I remember you were nervous. We practiced a lot.
I was super nervous. I practiced so much.
We did a Zoom practice twice, right? 2 times.
More than that.
Oh,
yeah.
but it paid off, the practice.
It did. Mixed reviews on where I didn't make it in the tournament. I'll leave it at that.
I think one of my biggest regrets is that I checked the no, that I didn't want to do it. Because
I don't know. It was a lot of work and a lot of stress, and it was like the week before finals, so it would have been nice.
No, that is true. I mean,
to study.
I know, like if I checked yes and if I'd made it, I'd be saying the opposite. But it's one of those things. It's like
check yes or no. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's I didn't mind the oral arguments. Like when I got into it, it was fine. It was a starting for me.
Yeah.
I was like, make sure I don't say like may it pleasure the court. Like I gotta say the right things.
Ultimately, like it was super stressful, and like I focused way too much on it in the moment. But like looking back, I'm so glad I did that. That was like my first. I've always felt like I'm decent at public speaking, but like anything affiliated with like that, like I've never done mock trial or anything like that.
Yeah, me neither.
But that was I really good.
You're good.
Oopsies, sorry.
You're good.
But I liked it. I ultimately didn't try out for like moot court or mock trial this summer because I wanted to focus on my internship. But it's really like it really made me think like, hey, maybe I want to do a little bit of litigation. Yeah. And I also don't want to be stuck behind a desk. So
that's
like
true.
Maybe a little bit of litigation wouldn't be bad.
See, I like the desk. I like being stuck. I want a nice corner office somewhere.
Absolutely not. I'll take a cubicle, I'll put in my like, I don't know, 30 hours at the desk, and then I'll do 20 hours on my feet.
Yeah. So speaking of what you want to do.
Sure.
So.
What do I want to be in 5 years? 5
years, I throw that number out. It's really just so like, you know, we graduated, you passed the bar.
30 years.
Yeah. You're like settled in your career. Like, where do you see yourself? Are you still in Nashville? Are you?
I'm wherever you're at, by your side.
Nice, thank you. I appreciate that.
But if that's not the situation,
no,
I'm not in Nashville unless there's some really, really good unique opportunity to stay in Nashville. I'll do that. I mean, I'm cool. I'm chill with starting my career in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I like the state, especially like the eastern portions of the state, because that's like regarding like outdoorsy stuff. That's where I kind of keep finding myself. But from what I've been told by like people of all different situations in environmental law in the state of Tennessee, most of them, the first thing they say is like, you ain't gonna be able to get a job in Tennessee for environmental law. I probably won't be able to get a job in the freaking South. Yeah. So I mean, if I'm gonna start my career in Tennessee, I would love to be in Chattanooga. So I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
Starting my career in Chattanooga probably like Tennessee or the South probably just be like my, like if anything, starting point of my career.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Due to like connections and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
5 years, I don't know. I really don't know what I want to do with my law degree if I like survive law school and pass the BAR.
Yeah.
You know, I'm absolutely loving my internship. So like this summer has like really fortified that environmental law is something that I'm very, very interested in regarding a career.
Yeah.
So I haven't done anything with like medical malpractice, which is the other kind of field of law that I'm really like personally interested in.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of waiting on that. But I don't know. I'd say ultimately, like most likely, I move back out west, and I've either I think if I had to do what most likely will happen. I know this is a long answer. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Most jobs seem to be in governmental work, so maybe working in like Oregon or Washington or like Colorado. Let's say I'll be in Colorado working for the state in their environmental law department. You know, or like maybe like a non-profit like what I do now. Oh God, again.
You're good. It is close. I did move it closer than usual, so that's good.
So environmental lawyer or someone maybe not a practicing attorney, but like someone working with environmental like policy.
That'd be really cool. So does the National Park Service have lawyers? Have you looked into that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Like is that something you thought about too? I mean,
that'd be so.
That sounds cool.
Kick-A, man. That'd be dope. Like, oh man,
that's cool.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
That'd be the life. Like what our constitutional law professor was saying. How there's that.
Oh, there's like judges in like Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Oh my goodness, that would be the life. I don't even care that I'd be at a cabin by myself just chilling. I'd love it.
I don't want to sound ignorant, but I don't know how busy they would be.
Probably not that busy. Just living life. Like, oh my god.
You like sue a bear, maybe. I don't know.
Sue a bear.
you see a bear in like a little suit. He's like behind the stand.
I'm suing you with my bare hands.
It's actually a suit about the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I have these bear arms.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that is unfortunate that like it's hard to get a job in the South with environmental law kind of things.
Yeah. Environmental policy here is a bit lackluster due to certain things.
And it sucks because like the Southeast has such beautiful like scenery and beautiful
it's
parks
so beautiful
and like
here.
you know.
Oh my god! Like, there's been a couple times this summer going to like Burgess Falls State Park or Short Springs State Natural Area or oh my god, Rock Island.
Rock Island's awesome.
State Park. I was like just hiking around and just being like, I was alone. You got crystal clear water.
Mm-hmm.
There's blue herons across. There's box turtles. There's water snakes, and I'm just like, no boats, no cars, no planes.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day.
That's awesome.
I'm just like, this is perfect. Like this is perfect. I was about to say this is Nirvana, but I'm not.
This is Nirvana. Yeah.
Like, oh man, it was like so peaceful.
So, have you been to the Fiery Gizzard Trail yet?
Uh,
It's like near.
So I was about to. I went to that area, but I chose to do a different hike.
Yeah, I did the Fiery Gizzard in undergrad with a friend, and I don't know if I told you this story or not.
No.
How the trail splits off.
Sure.
So there's like an easier version and the harder version.
Sure.
So our plan was to do the hard version.
Right.
Of course, naturally.
Naturally.
So, but we took a wrong turn. We did the easy one,
Oh.
and then it like splits and it meets back up.
Okay.
And then so my friend was like, "Oh, we just did the easy one." He's like, "So let's go back
do the hard
and
one.
do the hard one." But that added so much time,
I bet.
and we didn't. We started at like 10, so we didn't start super
Wow, that's
early.
really late.
It is really
10
late.
p.m.
No, 10 a.m.
Oh.
Yeah, but it did go late because it got dark really fast because it was like the fall.
Boomer, dude.
Yes, and like we were like very much like lost in this like nature
Nice.
preserve.
Nice. Good,
So-
good. No bears. Good thing.
No bears. We had really bad cell service naturally.
Yeah, sure.
So we got like the park ranger's phone number and we called him and we're like, hey, like we're lost, and like we like saw like they have like the ATV
Mhm.
path so they can travel, and the guy's like, yeah, that's a bummer, dude. Just keep walking. So-
that sucks, bro. Have
So
fun.
eventually, and we didn't pack. All I had was like this water bottle
Nice.
and 2 granola bars, and I think it was like 12 hours of walking.
Nice. Of hiking.
Yeah, hiking.
There's a
yeah.
difference,
Yeah,
man.
there's
There's a difference.
There's a difference. So that sucked. It is a great place, so just don't make my mistake of like going back and taking the wrong path. But it's really beautiful too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. I love being in the trees, man. Coming from
Yeah.
the desert, like the Southwest is like so cool to visit. But I'm just like not a desert person, so like living there. Flagstaff is not. It is a desert, but it's not like a desert. It's like
Yeah.
a forest desert.
That's cool.
Because it's covered in trees and it's like super high up. NAU is on the side of a mountain.
That's
So
awesome.
that's not like a real desert.
Yeah.
It's not like the rest of like Arizona and Colorado. Not Colorado, but Arizona and Utah and like New Mexico. But like living in New Mexico, not for me.
Yeah, I want to visit Utah because I heard Utah's really pretty.
Utah's one of my favorite states.
Yeah.
I call Southern Utah the world's biggest playground because you got the big 5 of national parks. You got like Arch. I won't go through them all, but like
Yeah.
Arches, Zion. Zion's my favorite one.
Yeah, I want to go to Zion.
Oh my god, it's like Jurassic. It's like being in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It's so freaking cool. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my
I think after I graduate and pass the bar, I want to go on like a little road trip.
You should.
That's my plan.
You
Just
should.
drive across the country or something.
We could do it together.
Sounds good.
I'll shave my beard and we'll just have mustaches.
I like that. Yeah, we'll do that. I do want to keep the mustache for as long as I can. We'll see.
Please do.
We'll see.
Looks good.
Thanks. So our last question, last one.
This is so long. How long is this?
I can't tell. We can check it when we get done.
Oh my.
It might be the longest one we've done. That's okay.
I don't like the sound of my voice, so
No, it's
I'm
fine.
curious what this will sound like.
Our last question. We only have 2 years left, like you mentioned. So, what do you want to get out of these next 2 years? It can be something professional, personal. You know.
Can I? I'm so sorry. Can I give you 2 answers?
Of course. Yeah.
Like a far-fetched answer, kind of a goofy one, and then like a realistic one. I'll get the boring one out of the way.
Yeah.
Realistically, what I want to get out of these next 2 years is like just a better understanding of what I'm going to be doing with my career.
Mm.
I've been so topsy-turvy I said that wrong.
Yeah.
Of like, what do I want to do? Like, because like with medical school, I was always on the outside looking in. I was always like, this is my path. I want to get into medical school, and then that's my career. I've never really, I don't know. I'm not like all my closest friends growing up. They're all like in their careers and their jobs, and I've never really felt like I've started my actual career. I've just been in academia for so long. Even the 2 years that I was working, I was an environmental scientist.
Yeah.
I knew I'd be going back to school, like no matter what. So I never really felt like my career actually started. So like just security of I know where I'm gonna start my career and that I'll be ready to start my career. And hopefully it's like environmental law. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna do. Like I've passed the bar, I've got a job lined up. I'm gonna get into environmental law and just take that through my career, or medical malpractice or something like that. So just like an understanding and acceptance of like this is what my career is gonna start out as.
Yeah.
And just start my freaking career.
Yeah.
I'm tired of
just
being
get
a student.
started.
Yeah, I'm tired of being a student.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being like, do I go to medical school? Do I go to law school? Like, I'm tired of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that's my legit, like, realistic answer. My funny one is I'll understand. Nah, I don't know. Maybe I won't do a funny one. I don't know. I'll leave it at the, this is long. I'll leave it at the, just understanding my career. Maybe.
That's super important.
Maybe a better understanding of like Tennessee, maybe about that time, and the South, like because I haven't done much exploring the South, so maybe.
Yeah, it is hard because we're
better cook too. Better cook.
Yeah.
Write that down.
It's hard. We're the same age, like almost.
We're both 34.
Both 34. Yeah, we're only a week apart.
Bingo.
It is hard because like I feel like at this point all my friends are in their teaching careers and like. I know the age difference between us and the rest of our class, the average isn't super big. It's like 3 years, but it feels...
Everybody's fresh out of undergrad.
It like feels different, you know?
Yeah,
it's not so big. I think it's because we've like, both worked and all that, so... But
I mean, working puts a different, like, what a different perspective I have.
Yeah.
Being a student after working.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what a different perspective I have.
Yeah.
And I was ready to be a student again, but after a year, after being emotionally abused by... law school, I am
being thrown around.
Yeah, I am ready to no longer be a student. 1 year, I'm good.
Yes. Well, I have heard that your second year gets a little better, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see
how that goes. We might have to do another episode at the end of next year just to catch up. And
that's a really good idea. See what people think.
That.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Well, thanks for coming on. This might be the longest one, but that's okay. I'm fine with it being long.
Yeah. So, thank you for inviting me. This was super cool. And like I'm pretty up to date with the youth, so I'd just like to say, if anybody calls this podcast mid, that's cap.
Mid. That's cap. And that's on God.
On God, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. And we'll have you on again after this year. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Nice. Look at us.